on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your, let me get this straight, NXT 2.0 Halloween Havoc preview. Oh, yes. Now, I'm going to start off with the obvious. Don't have Jake here with me. Was hoping to have Jake here with me. Life's still kicking him in the ass. I'm going to reiterate what I've said the past couple of days. Please head over to Countdown Ended on either Instagram or YouTube or Twitter and show him some love. Promise you guys, once Jake's doing okay, we will have him back on the show. I miss having him on the show. He knows that. You guys know that. And when he does return, it'll be great because I'll have somebody to bounce off of and I won't sound so redundant. But the running joke, the running gag on here that I've been doing has come to an end. I had said that the whole topic of NXT 2.0, I was holding that whole topic hostage until I could get Jake back on the show. Unfortunately, guys, I love Halloween Havoc. I'm going to come up here and talk to you guys about Halloween Havoc. So I got to let that running joke go. There's a bigger, larger conversation to be had about this new Fireworks and Rainbows NXT, and I'm not really gonna, I'm sorry, but I'm not really gonna tackle that tonight. That will be a conversation with somebody, hopefully Jake, maybe somebody else. Maybe I can get Guapo to actually watch NXT, maybe not. So again, go send all your health and well wishes to Jake DeMarco so that you're not stuck with just me, or so that I don't have to drag Guapo through the mud, or maybe convince Kristen to start watching wrestling again. Yeah, right. But Halloween Havoc's good. Halloween Havoc from last year is going to be different for a lot of reasons. It's not in what I'm going to call good NXT. It's in the Fireworks and Rainbows NXT. It's in the different arena. I do like, I'm not going to dwell on it, I do like the different arena. It is more opened up. Obviously, they've been able to get more fans in there. Creatively, I think they have the possibility to do some cool stuff in that different new surrounding, but I think the old NXT, even if you didn't like the dour sort of heavy metal look of it, I think it if nothing else, it suited the Halloween Havoc aesthetic. And also, this year, it's not going to be hosted by my girl Shotzi Blackheart. So, let's start with that. Tell me about the redundancy of having a match with LA Knight and, who's the other one? Oh, Grayson Waller, who's a thrill seeker sometimes and a boxer sometimes and whatever. And on the night, they decided that both of them wanted to host next week's show, so they had a match to see who was going to host next week's show. Neither one of them has a particular element about them that would make me think that they want to host a Halloween show. More to the point, they don't need it. They don't need a host because they're going to have Chucky on the show. Now, yes, there is a tie to a period of time in WCW where the Steiner brothers had a thing with Chucky. And yes, they're doing a tie-in. They're probably doing the tie-in with Braun Breaker, who we're not allowed to talk about as a Steiner, apparently. Apparently, they're going to call his finisher the Breaker Recliner. We'll get to that when we get to it. Yes, there's also the rumor that the fictional character of Chucky might be going into the WWE Hall of Fame, and that just, I just laugh. Guys, I just laughed. Let's, on the more realistic side of things, they're using the Chucky character because they're on USA in the United States. Obviously, up here it's in on Sportsnet for me, so the tie-in doesn't even work for me. But they on USA they have the new Chucky show. Now, as a side note, we do have that up here in Canada on Showcase, and as far as I can tell, we're getting it 1 week late, so they got the first week last week. This week they had the second week, we had the first week. They'll have their third episode, we'll have our second episode, etc. I did check it out. For those of you that know me as far as a movie guy, I love fucked up shit. Give me all the slasher movies. I saw Halloween Kills. It's probably not something Kristen and I are going to talk about on Flix Fix, but it was a good fucking time. Chucky movies, the Jason movies, the Freddy Krueger movie, give me all of that shit, right? The show is as lame as you predict it to be, but it's lame in all the schlocky, tacky ways that you want it to be tacky. It's, I don't know, like, I'm not here to give you guys a rundown of the Chucky show, but brand new character. I mean, yeah, they have to create a way that the Chucky character has now come into somebody else's possession. How does this doll keep getting around? And, you know, he's Charles Lee Ray and all that kind of thing. So they're just doing that on USA right now. So for whatever wrestling tie-in, for whatever LTST you want to put into this, realistically, it's a promotion thing for the network that they're on. And let's not throw stones at that, because on the other side of the coin, we've got the company that now has named 2 of their titles after wrestling networks and had their main heel stable come out as the Looney Tunes. It's everywhere. It's not just WWE. WWE is a dumpster fire. Yes, I will reiterate that before you guys think I'm being biased. How much NXT have you heard me talk about recently? How much time have I given to AEW recently? But let's not pretend that this shit doesn't happen everywhere. The Chucky stuff should be fun. Halloween Havoc as a whole is supposed to be a tacky pay-per-view in a lot of ways. We got Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal to talk about later on. But I don't know what LA Knight's going to do. LA Knight's going to come out, start his hosting duties, and somebody's going to bring out the Chucky doll and chase him away or something, is my prediction on that. And that's fine. He's the guy that can come out there and be full of himself and run away from a doll, and it'll be just fine. Remember last year, and I mean good tacky, when they were just introducing the concept of The Way, and Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae kept on getting help from masked people that we eventually found out were Austin Theory, who's awesome, and Indy Hartwell, who's awesome. But until they were revealed, they came out in the Scream masks, the Ghostface Killer masks, and all that sort of thing. So was that absolutely tacky? Yes. Would I rip it on any other show? But Halloween Havoc is intentionally this way, and I'm a guy that loves Halloween, and I'm a guy that loves schlock, and you guys know I'm a fan of The Fiend, I'm a fan of Twisted Bliss, I'm a fan of this stuff. I'm even warming up to Dexter Lumis, and we'll get there when we get there. Now, a couple of little point note type things to get into, because it is a weekly episode of NXT. It's not technically a pay-per-view. It's not a takeover. We don't know if takeover is even a thing anymore. Talk about that another day. We're getting the debut of Solo Sikoa, and basically all we know about him from the vignettes is that he is a member in some way of the Samoan dynasty, and he made his way. He doesn't have you can't look up his records or his stats because they don't keep stats on the streets, is one of the cool things that they said about him at one. But basically, he's a Samoan street fighter. And I'm really cool with that, because we have Street Fighter here. We just had Vega win in Saudi Arabia. Yes, I'm going to tie in the lame joke. I'm going to pull a Simon Miller. It's fine. I wouldn't even mind if he came out and put out an open challenge and LA Knight was tired of having his hosting duties taken over by a doll and decides to take it out on Solo Sikoa, and he gets his ass kicked in this guy's debut. I think all that comes together really, really well. The other thing we gotta talk about is 99% sure Dakota Kai, because we've had these vignettes of, you know, I had to go back to the beginning and I had to bury what I was and become what I need to be, and all this imagery of people like digging holes and putting things in the grave and taking things out of the grave, and it's all very symbolic. Now, here's the problem. Here's where I was an idiot, and me being an idiot points out the greater problem in WWE in general. I saw the first vignette, the first time they did this vignette on NXT, and I didn't have the sound on. All I heard, or all I saw rather, was the grave digging and all the symbolism and things being taken out of the grave, things being put in the grave. And I thought back to who's the last person that referred to themselves as being dead and trying to start again, and even had a tombstone out, and that was Elias. And I got really, really excited for a second, because I'm like, okay, cool, they're going to rebrand Elias, bring him back to NXT. Now, that's had ups and downs. You know, it didn't work for Charlotte because you're not allowed to be white and blonde. It absolutely worked for Finn Balor, and it's sort of middling for Ember Moon. So if they were bringing back Elias and he's going to come back as this, you know, deeper, darker version of himself or whatever, he's going to pop out of the grave at Halloween Havoc, fine, cool, that's a good thing, until somebody said, did you listen to the promo? And I said, no. And it's like, well, the voice is modulated, but it's definitely a Kiwi accent. And who's the other one we haven't seen on NXT in a while? That's Dakota Kai. And I'm like, well, all right. So take everything I just said, flush it down the loo. Flush it down the loo. It does make me really happy, though. Because when she took on Raquel Gonzalez for the championship. I was really bummed because I figured whoever won the title was staying and whoever lost the title was going, or whoever lost the match rather, was going to the main roster. And we had already seen clips of Dakota Kai and how they treated her on main event, and the fact that they haven't brought her out on Raw or SmackDown yet, but they presented her on main event like a babyface, which I really don't want to see because I think she's a badass heel. Her heel turn, was a better version of this person that you never thought could be heel, turning absolutely bitchy heel. Bayley's great, don't get me wrong. Dakota Kai did it better. So not only did we lose out on her being on NXT, we lost out on that great heel character, and we also lost out on the possibility of Dakota Kai ever holding the NXT Women's Championship. You guys know, I've said before, there's a lot of missed opportunities. Alexa Bliss, Ruby Riott, now Ruby Soho, Liv Morgan, basically anybody from the Riot Squad, let's be real. But a lot of people have gone up, and I think Carmella was one as well. Mandy Rose, who's another one who's just come back, Sonya Deville. These are women who obviously WWE doesn't see as main eventers, doesn't see them as big ratings movers, so them moving back to NXT wouldn't be a huge deal. So once they go up to the main roster, you've basically closed the door on them being NXT Women's Championship, holding the NXT Women's Championship. Now, that would have sucked for Dakota Kai. I was really hoping that Raquel Gonzalez would lose. She would go to the main roster. She'd get treated a little bit better because she's a bigger person. She's a powerhouse. She can go have matches with people like Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley and Charlotte and Shayna Baszler, and that would have worked fine. If this is the return of Dakota Kai and she's gonna take that bitchy, cunty heel character that she already was and take it to an even darker place, that's fantastic. It also underlines a general problem in WWE that they've done two things so similar in such a short amount of time that I thought Dakota Kai was Elias. Just gonna put that one, just gonna put that one out there. I hope she comes out and attacks somebody that everybody really like for a comeback. Have her come back and attack like Saray or somebody. Have her come back and attack Zoe Stark, although Zoe Stark has a match. It's fine, we don't have to worry about it. Okay, now let's talk about this Carmelo Hayes and Johnny Gargano situation, because this is not a match. On last week's episode of NXT, you had Carmelo Hayes, who had just cashed in on Swerve Scott after Swerve Scott had successfully defended against... what's his name? Why is my brain not working? Santos Escobar. So they did a really cool layered ending to that show. He was out this week bragging. Him and Trick Williams were out there, all that kind of thing, having their Carmelo-bration, yeah, wordplay in WWE, yay. And he was interrupted by Johnny Gargano, and Johnny Gargano had the most fluid babyface turn in the span of one promo that I think WWE has pulled off in a long time. Basically talked about his history with the North American Championship, how he knows that championship better than anybody else because he's held it, I think, either longer or more times than anybody else. Talks about what's next for Johnny Gargano since Candice is off being pregnant, Indy's married now, and Austin Theory has graduated to the main roster, and he says, why don't I just go back to doing what I'm meant to be doing? Why don't I just go back to being Johnny Wrestling? So like that, he's back being Johnny Wrestling, being Johnny Takeover, if Takeover is a thing, and back in the North American title picture, and gonna make this, I say this kid, and I only say it because look at the relationship between the two of them, he's gonna make this kid look like $1 million. Eventually, we are going to get Carmelo Hayes versus Johnny Gargano one-on-one for the North American Championship. We're not getting it on this show, which is a little bit of a bummer, but also I don't mind waiting, because right now we're going to play it up that Johnny Gargano has his son-in-law, Dexter Lumis, by his side, and obviously Carmelo Hayes has Trick Williams with him, because since the influx of the 2.0 version of NXT, every wrestler that you already loved on NXT now has a big friend. That's just a thing. Look at Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. I mean, don't, because they're not on the show. It's fine. So for the meantime, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of tag team stuff with them. Trick Williams, when he's cutting his promos out there, he talks about like how we have gold, how we have gold. I do think Carmelo Hayes at some point is going to be like, yo, buddy, you're my friend and you're here supporting me, but this is my title. This isn't our title. That'll come later on down the line. But in the meantime and in between time, we're probably going to get some I keep wanting to say mixed tag because it's 2 little guys and 2 big guys, but that's not what a mixed tag is. We're going to get tag team scenarios between Gargano, Loomis, Trick, and Carmelo Hayes, which is absolutely fine. The match we're going to get at the end of this, I don't think they put the belt back on Johnny Gargano. Again, I don't think he needs it. He's a 2-time Grand Slam NXT guy. He's minted main eventer in NXT, regardless of what they do with that brand. I don't think they would do anything with him on the main roster, which is kind of sad. But for now, because of the scuffle that they had last week on NXT, I just said scuffle. That's not usually in my vocabulary. Because of the interaction that they had on last week's NXT, they technically have possession of Carmelo Hayes' North American Championship, and they've been left with an invitation in their locker covered in cobwebs because Halloween stuff, basically saying from Loomis and Gargano, if you want your title back, come to our haunted house. So they're going to recreate the haunted house of horrors thing that they did with Loomis and Grimes, and I don't mind that. I really, really don't. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes going through some kind of weird haunted house, and Loomis being like the creepy serial killer guy that he is, and Gargano just sort of being there and loving how weird Loomis is going to be. It's going to be a segment. It's not going to be a match. They're going to get chased out of the haunted house and maybe back to the NXT 2.0 arena. It's not the CWC anymore either, is it? It's fine. It's a lot of fun. I'm predicting a segment that's going to lead to a match later on, when really I would love to be previewing the actual Gargano-Carmelo match, but we're not getting that right now. It's fine. What else is fine? And it's pretty predictable, I'm not going to lie. MSK, if there's any one, I guess I should say 2, but if there's any one act that sort of was a precursor of what NXT 2.0 was going to be like, flashy, energetic, high color, high energy, bright, shiny, it's MSK. When they came in and sort of lit up the cruiserweight, or not the cruiserweight division, the tag team division, it was that line from Mortal Kombat, now for a taste of things to come. Imperium is not that. Imperium are great wrestlers, but they're boring as shit. I think they're trying to spice this up by making it a spin the wheel, make the deal type of match. I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being something like a tornado match or a tables match or something like that. MSK are going to give us some pretty decent high-flying spots, which are going to be a lot of fun. I don't think the ending of this match is in any doubt whatsoever. I really, really don't. Nobody wins if Imperium wins, unless Walter's coming back to whip them into shape again, which I don't think is happening because travel is still a weird thing all over the world, and Walter has already said he doesn't want to be in the States for any extended period of time. So I like MSK. I wish I was more excited about that match. I wish they had better opponents. I wish they were literally facing anybody else. I mean, like anybody else. What's his name? Grayson Waller, and before he went into being the prize fighter and the thrill seeker and the adrenaline junkie, he was this weird, awkward, annoying guy that was teaming up with Drake Maverick and driving Drake Maverick nuts. So just have them go in and just have a bit of fun. Have Drake Maverick, who used to be the annoying, energetic guy, now be the guy that's annoyed at the annoying, energetic guy. You could have that, and you could have MSK sort of like sitting in the other corner, loving it because it's a cakewalk for them. Be better than this. I mean, you could have had one more match for Ridge Holland before he goes up to the main roster. You could have had Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne putting these guys over, David and Goliath style. But no, they decided to use Imperium, and that makes the match incredibly predictable, and they're trying to smooth over the predictability of it by making it a spin the wheel, make the deal, we're going to shove somebody through a table or something. What I do like is the one match that we've already spun the wheel and made the deal on, and that is the Women's Tag Team Triple Threat Ladder Match. Say that again. Women's Tag Team Triple Threat Ladder Match for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. It's been dubbed the Scareway to Hell, and I love that because I love schlock. It's fine. You've got the champions, Zoe Stark and Io Shirai, defending against Indy Hartwell and her new friend Persia Parada, and you've got Toxic Attraction, which is Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Now, there was that botch last week on NXT in that triple threat match with Jacy Jayne, and I don't know, I haven't heard anything. I hope she's okay. I hope she's in this match, but if she's not, and they make Mandy Rose do double duty, that could be a really interesting story. I don't want to speculate too much on that because I honestly don't want to see somebody hurt at the end of the day. There's a cool story in all of this. You've got Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, who are the tag team champions that don't get along, mostly because they've indirectly booked Io Shirai as sort of a racist character, which nobody really seems to be touching on. You've got Toxic Attraction, who are trying to make themselves as like this new big element in NXT, and you've got Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta, which Indy Hartwell now has to show herself on her own outside of the way and outside of being Dexter Lumis's wife, and also she's brought her friend along for the ride, who I'm sure knows what she's doing, but to the NXT crowd she's still brand new. So you've got this new team that's trying to prove themselves, you've got this new invading force with Toxic Attraction that are really trying to make a statement tonight in 2 different matches, and you've got the champions that don't get along, and you've got a dangerous situation like a ladder match. Ladder match with 6 people. I'm going to go with my biases on this one because I love the whole Toxic Attraction gimmick. I love how much it winds other people up. I really do. Oh, they put Vince and them in charge and da-da-da-da-da. Now all of a sudden they got to push all these hot chicks. And I'm like, well, Ripley's hot. Shirai's hot. I mean, look at your former champions. Becky Lynch is hot. Charlotte Flair's hot. Ember Moon's hot. Shotzi Blackheart was never a champion, but she was pushed along with Ember Moon when they became tag team champions. She's hot. So just admit it. Just pull the string on your truth machine. Yep, that was a thing that I just made up. Pull the string on your truth machine and just say you're not going to cheer anybody that's white and blonde. She even went and dyed her hair brown so that you can hate her a little less. It's fine. But yeah, if she's not injured, Jacy Jayne and Gigi Dolin, I think, are coming out of this because it's a very dangerous match and they're the only ones being presented as flat-out heels, so they'll do the most devious stuff. And at the end of the day, they do have a third person that can come out and help if they wish. I know they've taken Cora Jade in a different direction. I still like the team when they were first introduced to the NXT roster, and yes, it was done on 205 Live, which was stupid. I still do like the team of Gigi Dolin and Cora Jade. I think it worked a little bit better. I think Jacy Jayne kind of came out of nowhere, at least as far as the show's presentation is concerned, and Mandy Rose, when she first showed up on NXT, it's like, oh, she's going to get in a cat fight with, you know, somebody, Frankie Monet or something like that. But no, she went evil as shit and got herself a faction together, and it's kind of fun. I do like that in a way, too. There's a roundabout way that there's some storytelling to that as well, because she was initially introduced to the main roster being one of a trio along with Paige and Mandy Rose. Remember when they were like the submission sorority, and then somebody came along and said, yeah, you can't call them that. So now for her to go back to NXT and head up her own faction, I think there's a roundabout story to that's cool. I'm not verbalizing it very well, obviously, but I hope they get the win. They're the team that I like. The whole weird, we're gonna book Io Shirai to be mildly racist, but then put all those accusations on Zoe Stark is bad. And as I say, Persia Pirotta and Indy Hartwell just showed up on the scene. And you've still got Catanzaro and Carter in the mix there. If Catanzaro and Carter went heel and just inserted themselves into this match and stole the titles, I think that would be one of the greatest things they've done in a long while. But it is what it is. Let's look at WWE overall. They gave the Queen's Crown to the right person. The right person is still holding the Raw Women's title, and the right person is still holding the SmackDown Women's title. So let's infuse that into NXT. Shall we not? Moving on. You got the 2 main singles titles to go from here, and here's where you get the fun story. Here's where you get a story that's outside of these 2 actual matches. You got Mandy Rose, who's part of Toxic Attraction, which is very much a creation of the new NXT, taking on Raquel Gonzalez, who was maybe the last huge big success of the old good NXT. And you've got Ciampa, who was one of the 4 pillars of of the old NXT, taking on Breaker, who's clearly the new project of NXT 2.0. So I'm going to kind of predict them together, because for the first little while there, they've been using all the established people that we know and love from NXT to put over the new guys. They've been putting over the Von Wagners, and they've been putting over the Braun Breakers, and they've been putting over the Chase Owenses, and the Odyssey Joneses, and Duke Hudson, who's now a poker guy for reasons, and that's not just a ripoff of Swingers Palace from Impact. Nope, not at all. You've got Tony D'Angelo, who I could do a whole video on. I'm going to stop doing accents now. It's fine. You've got Joe Gacy and this fucking SJW character that he's doing that I hate and love at the same time. I hate it because it reminds me of how shitty the real world is. I love it because it winds up all the people that character is designed to call out, and that makes me smile a lot. There was a show a little while ago, I think it was called Secrets and Lies, and the whole show was about a murder, and this female cop comes in, and she decides from minute one that this guy did it. This guy committed the crime. I think they killed a kid in the show. It's all terrible, horrible, sad, dramatic stuff, but the bottom line is you're watching all this investigation, quote unquote, take place, when really it's obvious that the city, his family, his friends, the police, especially this female cop, they decided once they looked at him that he was guilty, and no facts or proof or investigation was going to get them away from that. He was fucked. He was absolutely fucked, and there was no way you could get around it. And then you find out in the end that it was another kid that had killed that kid, and it's way too late. Like, his life is fucking ruined. That show came out, and friends and family and people that I love and respect said, oh my god, can you imagine if that's what life was like in real life? And I'm like, if you don't know that is what it's like in real life, then you're not paying attention. I've seen people on social media looking at the Joe Gacy character and saying, oh my god, that's hilarious. Can you imagine if people were like that in real life? And I'm like, you're missing the point. Like, here's you. Here's the point. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, we got to do a rundown on all the gimmick characters at some point on NXT 2.0. But the point is, all the old stalwarts of the old NXT are being used to put over the new ones, and this trend will either be broken or solidified in these two matches. Now, Gonzalez and Rose, especially if Dakota Kai is coming back to the roster, I wouldn't mind Gonzalez losing and moving herself up to the main roster, because I think, unlike somebody like a Dakota Kai, I think Gonzalez could make a fair way for herself on the main roster. But more to the point, I think what's happened in the past little while is the revolution, the evolution, whatever you want to call it in ladies wrestling, is fantastic 99% of the time. And I'll tell you when it's not. Because back in the day, yes, we hired supermodels and cheerleaders and bikini models and underwear models, and we had pillow fights, and we had the blonde Barbie dolls that were just out there to look pretty. And then we swung the other way. We went to the gyms, we went to the indies, we went to the combat sports, we got our Sonya Deville's and our Shayna Baszler's and our Ronda Rousey's, and we went so far the other way, and so far in the direction of let's not have any Barbie dolls on the show at all, that you've totally negated the fact that some of those females that you're pushing to the side that, oh my god, happen to be white, oh my god, happen to be blonde, oh my god, happen to be hot, might also be fantastic fucking wrestlers. I've said this from jump. When they first debuted in NXT, I was lucky enough to go to an NXT house show at Madison Square Garden, and even though they were a team on TV, I saw Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville go about 25 minutes against each other, and it was probably one of the better matches that I've ever seen at a house show. And they never utilized that properly on NXT TV, and this is me thinking back to even when I was a biased viewer of NXT every week. They never used it right on the main roster. They never used it right on pay-per-view. They made her, they made her into a caricature of what people wouldn't like so that you can get other people over, etc., etc., etc. But Mandy Rose is way better than those people hung up on identity politics is ever gonna want to admit. So, the fact that she's come back to NXT, the fact that she's put this faction together for herself, the fact that she made a point of dyeing her hair not blonde and finally getting herself a title shot. I was like, oh, yeah, I get so much just from being white and blonde. Hey, look, I had to dye my hair brown to get an NXT title shot after being on the main roster. And let's just put it out there, she's got a better V-trigger than Kenny Omega. I really do hope that, man, not because of the NXT versus NXT 2.0 shit that I was talking about a second ago, but just genuinely because they gotta give this girl something eventually. I really do hope Mandy Rose gets the title. I hope she goes on to be the champion for a while as the head of this new faction. I hope Raquel Gonzalez finds herself some success on the main roster with some of the powerhouses that are on the main roster, and I hope it leads to a little bit of a shuffle in the entire division. Now, my biases kick in when one of the four pillars of NXT has his hand on the belt again. Wasn't it weird that they moved Karrion Kross to the main roster? They ruined him in the first 5 seconds of his main roster life. To get him there, they put the title on. They brought Samoa Joe back into active wrestling to put the title on him, just so that Ciampa can take it off of him and carry himself into this weird new, he's got the music coming out there that I really love. It's probably some of the best music left in wrestling because so much of it is getting so generic now. The No One Will Survive music, that whole vibe is Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa doesn't fit this new NXT, but Jesus Christ, the contrast of him being in this Rainbows and Butterflies NXT as the character that he is something a little bit fantastic. He was in the old NXT where it looked like it was made exactly for a character like him. Now he's in the NXT that looks like it's built up against a character like him. Watching him whip the living shit out of SJW Joe Gacy was fantastic. I really don't want to see Ciampa lose the title. He went on like a 900-day, after his injury, when he was supposed to be coming back for the title, and then he went and did War Games instead, because, hey, I just fixed my neck, why don't I go do a War Games match? Took him a long-ass time to come back around and only pick up his second ever NXT championship. Now, I don't want to see him lose the belt, but, I mean, if it's obvious to anybody, if it's obvious to me, the one person that they're using to symbolize this new era of NXT, it's Braun Breaker. The guy talks like a Steiner. Gee, I wonder why. He's probably going to have a conversation with Chucky in the back. Gee, I wonder why. And I think Ciampa's going to take his bones and put this guy over, which is fine. It'll be fun. The guy's got energy. The guy's dressed like the new NXT logo, so it sort of sells itself. But, I mean, while we go off wildly in this new direction of the SJWs and the poker players and the crazy, wild, thrill-seeking bare-knuckle boxer and all this other stuff, and Tony D'Angelo, it's fine, I'm not going to do it again, I promise. If they want to give us something that's like, hey, for the fans of the older NXT, we're still going to leave you a little bit, leave the belt on Ciampa. Just a little bit longer. Just a little bit. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Honestly, I do think this is the changing of the guard. I do think Braun Breaker is your new NXT champion, and I do think that that's gonna be really weird for me watching wrestling going forward. For all my crimes, I really did like the old NXT, the dark and dour, heavy metal aesthetic that was, let's be honest, mostly brought to us by Triple H, was right up my street. When they introduced the 1,000-year-old Dragon Lady, I was into it because I love the schlock. And now you've created an NXT, like, you took an insane, silly gimmick like the 1,000-year-old Dragon Lady that I loved and put it in a brand new scenario that makes it look as silly as it is. Does that make sense? That's a really shitty comparison for me to make. There are good things in NXT. There are a lot of good things. I think the best comparison I can make right now for NXT, because I still watch it. I'm still watching it every week. It's gone from something that I would watch for 2 hours and really sink my teeth into, and once I hit stop on the TV, I was hitting start on this camera right in front of me, and I couldn't wait to talk to you guys about it. Now, it's something that I turn on over there. I have a lot of fun for 2 hours, but as soon as it's over, I want to go do anything else. I don't hate it. When I saw the first week of NXT 2.0 and what it was going to be going forward, I mean, they went really heavy. They threw 1 million new people at you on the first night, which was never going to work. I think I texted Jake on the night of the first new NXT 2.0, what the fuck fever dream am I watching? And I meant that in the most negative way possible, because you might not know this about me. I'm a little bit stubborn, so you can imagine how I am with change. I could write what the fuck fever dream am I watching for every episode that they've done since, but it's not as bad a thing anymore. I mean, Tony D'Angelo tried to get himself onto a talk show, and then when he couldn't get on the talk show, the manager of the talk show ended up in his trunk. Like, it's just NXT blatantly going like, hey, The Sopranos was a thing, here you go. Impact used to have Swingers Palace, and we got Duke Hudson with nothing to do. He's gonna be a poker guy now. It's a televised house show, and I know this is gonna sound funny, because we just had Crown Jewel, which is a gigantic house show, but it's got a little bit of a televised house show feel to it. When I go to a house show, when I go to a Destiny show, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list, there's a couple people that I know that are probably drawing me to the show, and a couple people that I'm going to learn about for the first time. When I go to Destiny Raising Hell next Saturday, I'm going because I know who Jordan Grace is. I'm going because the main event is Josh Alexander versus Doc Gallows for the Destiny Championship. I'm going because I'm going to see Aiden Prince and Kobe Durst fight in a steel cage. But I'm also going because Jordan Grace is facing Lufisto. Lufisto's somebody I've never seen before. And that part is just as exciting as all the people that I'm going to see that I'm going to know. We're going to see the debut, or at least for myself, the debut of a Canadian tag team called Sabotage, who I don't think I've ever seen wrestle before. And that's the other part of it. NXT is starting to have a little bit of that. There's a little bit of like, okay, I see what they're doing with Toxic Attraction. That's really cool. Mandy Rose is finally getting her flowers. That's good. Tommaso Ciampa's still there. Johnny Gargano's gone back face. Some of the skeleton of the old NXT is still there. That's what's going to drive me. But then gangster, then poker player, then very, very accurate SJW character, then the next thing and the next thing. Oh, you got Chase University with the guy with the university teacher that swears all the time on the PG WWE product. It's a lot of fun. If you look at this show, we got the Chucky shit, which is going to be corny as hell. We got Solo Sikoa debuting, which could be very cool. You've got this brand new version of Dakota Kai that we don't exactly know what that's going to be. We're going to have some fun haunted house shit. We're going to have MSK and hopefully a squash. Ladder matches, especially multi-person ladder matches, are always good. Let's just hope JC Jane doesn't kill herself. Rose versus Gonzalez, I think I've made my opinions perfectly well known on that. And Ciampa versus Breaker, one way or the other, is going to give us an indication of where this show is going forward. This is the closest thing we've had to a takeover in a while. I do hope that we go back with the world opening up again and us actually being able to be in arenas again. I'll actually be going to a WWE house show a couple days after my birthday in December. So things are opening up, borders are opening up, arenas are opening up, etc., etc., etc. I hope that the idea of TakeOver isn't completely dead, but until we find out about that, this is the closest thing we're going to get. It's also Halloween Havoc, so you know I'm going to love it. I hope you guys tweet along with me on the night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please put all your... because I haven't talked to you guys about NXT in a while, and I'm going to do some more breakdown stuff when I can get either Jake or Guapo on here with me to talk about some of the specifics, because we could do a whole topic on, like, what's the new image of NXT. Let's go through all these new gimmicks that they've created. We could break down a lot of different things about this new NXT. But I am watching every week. I'll definitely be watching this because I love Halloween shit. Tweet along with me at SpazPhoenix, at SpazPhoenix1 on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at SpazPhoenix. Go to the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group on Facebook. Hey, I'm out of Facebook jail, for those of you that do know me on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, throw something down in the comment section below so that YouTube knows that I'm alive. And that's about it. Let me know... oh, that's what I was trying to say. Let me know what you guys think of this new NXT. I haven't done an NXT-centric video in a while. I haven't really thrown it out to you guys to tell me what you guys think of this brand new NXT. I think the last NXT video I did was the RIP NXT video. So that was really hopeful on my part, wasn't it? Let me know what you think of NXT. Give me your predictions for next week's Halloween Havoc. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.